Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday to you all. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. We have a doctor in the house. So, as you all know, I have an amazing friend and doctor that has committed to doing our Friday sessions so she can help us through different things in terms of our health and wellness. And so today I was talking to her, and we wanted to address the concept of fitness. And in terms of, we're in COVID-19 situation where people are home and feeling cabin feverish, and things are perhaps mentally getting a little bit out of hand. And so I was asking Dr. Bryant Bruce to share some insights on how to increase our happy hormones, and also if we're not able to go to the gym and things like that, how can we use the things we have around the house? So she's going to be able to share some really easy techniques and things that we can do that we don't really need to get a lot of equipment for. So that's something that's really important for us in this time, to be active and also take control of our mindset in feeling better, right? We can look at this as in a different perspective of a positive way of how can we help ourselves at this point, because we're not able to do certain things that we're accustomed to. And really, I think in terms of working out, I've always thought to myself, like, on good days when people work out, you feel good and that's great. But when you're not feeling good, I think it's a sign for us to work out a little bit harder or to get those endorphins going. And so today I'm going to ask Dr. Bryant Bruce to just do that with us so that we are able to find a way to make it possible. And so it's not sort of a hindrance or things that we can kind of create blocks in our minds that, oh my God, I can't do that because of, I don't have this equipment or whatever. So let me bring her on so we can get this show on the road. Hello, Cheryl. It's so nice to see you.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing really well. I see you've got gloves on. So I gather
Yes,
it's a
I
little bit
do.
chilly where you are.
Just a bit nippy, but that's okay because I'm outside and the air's fresh, and we're going to do a little bit of exercise, do some things that should warm me up, and the sun is coming up over the hill, and I'll be much warmer in
Oh, that's
short order.
awesome. Look, the view that you have is spectacular. So that all of a sudden makes me feel really good. The thing I wanted to talk to you, and we discussed this, that we were going to talk about fitness because, in terms of our mental game, this is a huge component, right? So if you can walk us through what happens hormonally in terms of us not feeling well, maybe during this time, can you tell us or walk us through what's going on?
Very much so. The first thing to understand is that all of this from head to toe is integrally connected. And what we do physically actually affects our mental and emotional states very much. One of the things that's the problem with this sheltering in that we're experiencing is that most of us are sheltering into somewhere that's not much bigger than a house, unless you perhaps happen to be Queen Elizabeth and you're living in a castle somewhere. We're sheltering in houses, so we're not moving around as much as we usually do. We're not coming and going, and for those of us who are already very active, we're not going to the gyms or the dance studios or the pool or the places that we usually go. We've broken our routines, so a lot of us have become sedentary, and that's not a good thing. With this COVID-19 thing going on, even though we may not be physically sick ourselves, we are feeling a lot of stress surrounding it. We're worried about it. We're worried about other people. We're worried about the uncertainty that it's creating. And we're now at the point where we've been sheltered in long enough that we're really worrying about when we're going to get out. We don't have any control over that. And not having control is creating a lot of stress. Our routines being broken is creating a lot of stress. And some of us are starting to not feel well. We may feel emotionally a little bit unstable. We may feel a little bit teary. We may feel angry. We may just feel kind of out of sorts. And physically, we might be starting to feel a little sluggish, or we might just almost feel almost like we're getting a little bit ill. Not really anything that we can clearly define, but we just don't feel good. And the reason that that's happening is because biochemically, our bodies are changing. Stress causes certain hormones in our bodies to come up, hormones like cortisol. Being locked in, we almost feel caged. And so people develop what's called a fight or flight response. They want to break out of that cage, and they actually feel almost like they're in a battle and they've been imprisoned. And so they kick up adrenaline, they kick up norepinephrine. They want to escape out of the cage, and that makes us not feel well when we can't. So we have to do something about that. We have to regain a sense of control, and we have to kick up the hormones in our bodies that are going to reverse that sensation. The other thing that we have to do is we have to get our blood flowing again so that our body is cleansing itself and washing out those toxins, because as cortisol and all of that builds up in our body, it has a toxic effect, and we need to cleanse our body of it. And when we're not moving around very much, we don't do that as effectively. People, along with that kind of just icky feeling that they're developing, maybe noticing things like they're not able to use the bathroom as effectively. Stuff maybe getting blocked up inside, and that is because our body is building up toxins, and our blood is not flowing as well, and our body literally is not cleansing itself as well. So we have to start moving in order to get our body kick-started again.
It's so
Get
helpful to
our
understand the mechanics of it, of what's going on when the blood isn't moving, the toxins are building. Like, it makes so much sense that we need to excrete the toxins for us to feel
Oh,
better.
absolutely.
Yeah, that makes so much
Absolutely.
that makes so much sense. So when people aren't feeling well or feeling a bit icky and not kind of pinpointing it, it's very easy now to understand that, wait a minute, if there's too much toxins that we're holding into our bodies, it's time to move them out.
Yeah. The other thing is, one of our biggest nutrients is oxygen. And when you're sheltered in, you're just not moving around as much. So you aren't breathing deeply, taking as much oxygen into the system. Not as much oxygen is going to the tissues, to the muscles, etc. So we don't function optionally. So we have to get moving to get all of that stuff going again. And we'll feel cleansed and refreshed. And the endorphins in our brains, the feel good hormones, will start to kick in. And all of a sudden, we'll start to feel better. The deeper we breathe, the better we'll feel. As we kick off the endorphins, as we get more oxygen to the system, we'll start to feel a greater sense of calm and control.
So I guess that would lead us to the next part, in terms of, when people can't go to the gym, they can't go swimming, they can't do a lot of things that we're used to, and we attach meaning to that. Meaning, if we can't do that, then, well, I'm not going to do anything. So I wanted to, talk to you about certain things that you can maybe share, of how easy it is to get some activity going, and with things that we have around the house.
Well, it actually really is very easy to get some activity going. One of the things that I'm observing is the dogs are loving COVID-19. Why are the dogs loving COVID-19? Because all of a sudden people are walking their dogs. So if you have access to the outdoors at all, a walk is one of the best things that you can do. If you start your morning with a nice refreshing walk, it lifts your spirits. You take a vigorous walk, it opens up your breathing, gets your lungs going, gets your heart going, gets the blood moving, and all of a sudden you feel much better about your day already. Now, if you're in a position where you don't have somewhere where you can really safely walk, I have a friend who's 93 years old, and she said, I start every morning by walking the length of my apartment, and I just walk back and forth, and then I walk out to the patio and I walk back and forth on the patio. Absolutely the correct thing to do. It doesn't matter where you're walking. And
Right.
she, to mix it up, she actually changes the direction that she walks in her house each day. You know, sometimes she walks horizontally, sometimes she walks diagonally, but she's changing the direction. So the view actually changes and keeps her mind stimulated and keeps her walk from being too boring. So simple things like that are very helpful. You don't have to have a gym membership, even if you're a gym rat. You don't have to have a gym membership, and you don't have to have a whole lot of equipment in your house. If you want to use some weights, you can use light weights, lots of repetition. If you want to use heavier weights, there are heavier things in your house. But I suggest that everybody just go to the cabinets and get a can of corn, one can for each hand, and put them into a sock to make them easy to hold. And you can use those as weights. Even when you're walking, if you want to walk with weights, you can either hold the cans in your hand or you can tie them around your wrist in your sock so you still have your arms free to swing. So you can do things like that to add weight. In everybody's home, I'm assuming everybody has a chair in their home. And chair exercise is a great way to get exercise using the body's own weight and resistance. And some of the areas that a lot of us are more interested in, like the ladies, we're interested in keeping the fitness in the posterior parts. And so one of the things you can do, I'm going to step back. I think you can see can you see my chair here?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So just a simple folding chair. And what you can do to exercise the posterior parts is you're just going to put your arms straight out in front of you and you're going to sit in the chair. But before you sit in the chair, as the backs of the legs and the hips hit the chair, you're going to stand back up. It's a simple squat. And you just touch the chair and you come back up. Touch the chair and you come back up. And you continue to do that for whatever number of repetitions. I suggest doing it at least 8 times, depending how strong you are, is going to determine how many repetitions that you get. This helps to strengthen the gluteal muscles. It also works on the muscles of the legs. And the nice thing about it is, particularly for older people, it's a functional exercise because we all have to sit. And one of the things that happens as people get older, they lose the ability to do that as well. They start to lose the strength in those big girdle muscles. And so they have difficulty sitting on the toilet, sitting in chairs. And you see all the advertisements about the chair that lifts up to help them stand. It's because those muscles have weakened. And so doing these chair exercises like that help to strengthen those muscles. So they're particularly good for older people. They're great for everybody, but they're particularly good for older people.
That would
We
get the
also,
heart rate. If you're doing
that
repetitions,
would
that would get your heart rate going.
get the heart rate going quickly. It'll get the heart rate going quickly. And I'd like to say something about the heart rate. It does not matter what exercise that you do. People say, oh, I need to run to get my heart rate going, or I need to walk super fast to get my heart rate going. If you do any exercise, even if it's a sustained exercise, because when I'm doing my fitness classes, I challenge people, uh, and when I'm actually talking on public lecture series, I'll challenge people to put their arms out and to hold their arms out the entire time I'm talking. And sometimes there's a prize for the person who can hold their arms out for the entire length of the talk. And you'll see people, they'll start out, everyone's like, oh, I got this. And as they're standing there, the arms start to get tired. And if they hold it long enough, you'll start to see sweat breaking out across the top of the lip, and the arms are just getting lower and lower and lower. And you'll if you watch their chest, you'll see people start to breathe more rapidly because it's work. They are working against gravity and they're using the resistance of their own body to hold. If people start to flap, it does not take very long at all before this will increase your heart rate and you'll start to get your respiratory rate up. You'll start to fatigue. You will start to sweat. Even just doing this little bit with the sun breaking over the mountain here, I'm going to take off my gloves because my hands are starting. So it doesn't take much. You can also use the resistance of your own body. Using your own body, you have a little weight and you get resistance. And you can do things. Again, we have our chair. You can do planks. Some folks are like, I don't have very strong upper arms. I can't do a plank. I can't do a push-up. Well, if you're using a chair, all of us can reach to the level of our chair and you just extend your legs back to a point where you're comfortable, and then without letting our backside sag, you create a board and tighten your abdominal muscles and you hold that board. You try to hold it for at least 30 seconds. This is a plank. It's not a very deep plank, but it's a plank for someone who's never done planks, and it allows them to start strengthening that core. The person who's done planks before will take that lower and lower, and they can actually use the chair a little bit more like this and continue to hold the core. So then they're getting the resistance from the upper arm, and that's a good one for someone who's also never done a push-up because they're not all the way horizontal. They have the chair to hold on to give themselves support. And then as they get more and more advanced, they can go lower and lower until they're in a push-up position and then just hold a straight plank. For someone who perhaps has a bad back, they can do all of this the same way, but by putting their knees on the floor and shortening the length that they're holding. So people who say, oh, I can't do because I have a bad back. No, that's when you should do because this core is what's going to support your back. And you have a chair, you're in your home, so I'm assuming your floor is clean enough that you can get on it on your knees, put a pillow down, get on your knees, and start your plank and start strengthening the core to protect your back.
So there's a lot in terms of fitness, not just the idea of keeping your heart rate going, but in strengthening like our certain core areas, right? Like strengthening the back, strengthening the core in terms of our stomach area. So it's actually building up strength even in arms and legs.
It's building up strength in arms and legs, and a lot of people are really, really weak because if they haven't already been in a gym program or they're not dancing or doing some form of fitness like that, a lot of people have been really relatively sedentary. So they want to get more fit. They run out and they get a gym membership. They go in for 1 or 2 days and they work really, really hard, and then they're sore, they can't move, and they quit. This is a way to ease themselves in. And even if they are physically fit, people have been sitting for weeks, and those muscles have decreased in strength, decreased in flexibility. there's been a little bit of muscular atrophy from where they were in their fitness state pre-COVID. So even people who are very, very physically fit, if they have not continued to exercise through this period, are going to have to build their way back in because they will have lost some of that fitness. And the first few days when they get back to it, they're going to feel it. But
Yeah.
what they're also going to feel is they are going to feel emotionally uplifted. The fact that they're moving and the blood is moving, they're going to feel much more mental clarity because I don't know about you, but for me, I really stayed fairly active throughout this. But there was a moment where for a few days I was like, I'm just going to kind of sit this one out. Got a little bit of a mental fog almost going on. And
Yeah.
that mental fog is kind of real right now because as we're getting deeper into this, there's this sense of losing track of days and time. And it's all just kind of turned into a blur. But if you're creating routines and you're having activity, it actually helps to reduce that mental fog.
So I
Now,
want to tie
talking
in.
about
Sorry, I just want to tie in
talking,
what we spoke about last week, which was about
yes,
nutrients. And so, as we've been sitting, perhaps our eating habits have changed, and we're eating things or baking
definitely,
things. That so that alters how we're feeling as well. So if we're going to,
yes,
have sort of higher intake of calories, the exercise needs
yes.
to come in to burn those calories.
To burn those calories off. And also because a lot of us have been sitting around, as you said, baking cookies and munching on chips. I had a friend that came out and was doing a little bit of work that needed to be done. We had a situation, we needed a little bit of work done. And the first thing I noticed was nice round cheeks. He had put on a bit of weight, and I commented on it because it actually looked good on him. He was fairly thin fellow, so it actually looked good on him. And he was saying, "Yeah, but you you haven't seen this part of me." And I thought that he usually had a pretty good diet, but he said that he had started doing a lot of snacking on chips and ice cream and just stuff that made him feel better. Those fatty, sugary foods that make us feel better. And so he had put on a little bit of weight, and he also had some of that sludge thing going on. So I was like, hey, you got to get moving and work that off, clean those toxins out, flush that sugar out of the system. Sugar's poisonous to the system, so you have to flush it out, clear the system.
Right.
One of
And
the things people talk about exercises, and they think of exercising as work. And I hope I'm not too far out here, but I'm going to say it anyway. People, sex is great exercise. It kicks up those endorphins better than any other form of exercise. And it is a healthy activity. So if you are sheltered in with your partner, go ahead and engage in some healthy, stimulating sexual activity.
that's awesome. I think it's great to address all of it, in terms of ourselves, sort of the whole mind, body, soul kind of thing, where we are going to feel some dips and things that we feel that maybe we're not used to or we don't know how to deal with it. So I think these are great tips that you've given. I think the other thing I just want to mention is the importance of hydration and water. So if you can just touch on that, because you talked about toxins, I'm thinking, if we can just address the importance of drinking water as we're going through this,
Definitely.
just to make sure we're hydrated.
Definitely, especially if you're someone who is not used to a lot of activity, you are going to be sweating much more profusely than maybe someone who is a bit more physically fit. So the need for that hydration becomes even more important. But it is important for everybody to hydrate. One, because most of us live in a state of mild dehydration anyway. We just don't drink as much water as we need to. The water is tremendously important for the system. And as you were saying, water is, our kidneys are one of our biggest elimination systems. They're one of our body's biggest ways of clearing toxins. The very biggest way that we clear waste from our body, though, is through our skin. And clearing waste from our body through our skin happens through sweating. The body is very good at protecting itself, however, and if we do not have enough fluids in our system, if we haven't hydrated well enough, we are not going to sweat as profusely as we would if we were well hydrated and our system was able to function the most effectively to eliminate the toxins. And one of the ways that you can see this is if you are not hydrating well, you also will not urinate very much. And when you do urinate, you will notice that it is very, very dark. Some
Mm.
people go to the bathroom, they urinate, and it's dark yellow. And they think that that's healthy. They think that the darker the yellow, the better it is. I'm really going and clearing out. No, what that means is that you have a lot of toxins built up in your system and that you do not have enough fluid in your body to eliminate it as well as it needs to be. So it becomes very, very concentrated. When you are drinking lots and lots of water, you're cleaning your system. So if you are drinking enough water, your urine should be almost clear.
Okay.
Drink water until you clear your urine. And if you're moving around and exercising, you should be urinating and clearing the system. If you're doing a lot of exercising and you haven't had enough water intake, then your body is using that water when you're exercising because you do have to do some sweating. And what you will find is that that urine becomes even more concentrated because you're dehydrated. So it is important to drink that water. If you don't like water, a lot of people say, oh, I don't like the taste of water. Add a little bit of lemon to it. Add a little cherry juice, a little fruit juice. Throw some strawberries in it. Cut up some cucumbers and make cucumber water, orange slices. There are so many things that you can do to give it a little bit of flavoring. The one thing not to do is to add a bunch of sugar. Don't add a bunch of sugar. Don't turn it into sugary drinks. And can I give a product plug here, Nasira?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that people do when they exercise is, especially the athletes, they'll run out and they'll get a sports drink. Most of the sports drinks, Powerades, Gatorades, those are all really high in sugar. They may be too high in salt, not a good balance, but mainly they're really high in sugar. That gives them that super sweetness. And some of them even have chemicals in them. I recommend a sports drink called Body Armor. And I will give a financial I have no financial interest in Body Armor at all. As a matter of fact, I should invest in the company because I'm giving them my money too. But Body Armor is a very, very nice sports drink. It was developed by one of the Warriors athletes for other athletes, and he uses nice natural products, fruit juices, things like that, that are very healthy for the body, and it's very well balanced. So if you feel like you need a hydration fluid, then I do recommend Body Armor as one that you can purchase. You can also make hydration fluids at home, though, and there are lots of good recipes on the internet. I will try later to post one on my site that
Okay.
people can use.
So regarding this body armor, is it something online, or is it something that they would have to get at a store, like a health food store?
Well, they don't have to get it at a health food store. They can get it at pretty much any grocery store, and
Okay.
it can be ordered online even.
Okay.
But if you're going to order it online, make sure that you're ordering it from the company. Don't order it from Amazon, because you'll remember from my talk last week that we don't order anything that we are consuming in our body or placing on our body from Amazon.
Right. And I guess that's, again, due diligence in terms of figuring it out if that's what's right for you, and find out about the company and
Yeah.
the ingredients and all of that, because really that is something so important when we're ingesting this or putting it on our skin. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Now, I just want to kind of let people know, if they want to follow you, if they want to connect with you, I just put up your Facebook page. Go ahead and find you on Facebook, and perhaps even if they have a question for you, I guess they can reach out to you and maybe send you a friend request. So thank you so much. This was an amazing session. I mean, we touched on so many angles of human health and wellness, fitness, and the need for hydration. So thank you so much. I hope to see you next week. I wish you a wonderful weekend, and I'm really grateful that you are part of my network.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure being with you, Nasira, and I admire you so much, your energy, your outlook. So it's absolutely my pleasure to be here with you and with your followers.
Thank you so much. Much love to you. So everybody, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that the information that Dr. Cheryl shared with us has somehow either tweaked your interest or gave you some options in terms of getting back into the fitness mode, getting your body moving, getting rid of the toxins, and really, being aware of how it's affecting you. Like, in terms of, we're probably, into our over 60 days in this place of shelter mode. So just be aware of how it's affecting you, how things are sort of panning out for you. If you need to reach out, please reach out to me, reach out to Dr. Cheryl, reach out to your own support groups and networks. We're in this together. We are going to get through this together. So I wish you a wonderful Friday, a happy, healthy weekend. Remember to be kind to yourself and to others. I will see you again on Monday. Take care.